make a girl make her feel good. I ain't had no daddy around when I was growing up. That's why I'm wild and I don't give a y'all think cause he ain't no square. He just like to share. In love with a tipper, throwing hundreds in the air. Throw some over here.
Hello babes, welcome back to the channel. If you are new, welcome. So in today's video we are going to be talking about the talented, beautiful Teairra Marie and what happened with her career. So let's get into it. In 2005, Teairra Marie was signed to Def Jam at the young age of 16 by LA Reid. From the moment Teairra walked in the room, they knew she was a star by how she captured the room for her audition. Teairra was slated to be a massive success with the natural charisma, vocals, beauty, and stage presence that she had. Shortly after she was signed, she began working on her album and her first single, Make Her Feel Good, that she would collaborate with Jay-Z, who was also the president of Def Jam at the time, and mega talented producer Sean Garrett.
To the Rockefeller, young princess of the rock.
The song would reach number 35 on the Billboard Hot 100 and number 9 on the R&B charts. The song was fairly successful on urban radio and played heavily on 106 & Park and BET. However, the song didn't receive much play on MTV or the commercial success that Def Jam hoped for. After releasing her debut single and introducing herself to the world, her second single, No Daddy, was released and the video would go on to obtain commercial success, with the video spending 14 weeks on TRL, ultimately reaching number 4.
I had no daddy around when I was growing up. That's why I'm wild and I don't give a y'all think cause these jeans fit, I'll give it up.
Teairra's album was released in January of 2005 and sold only 69,000 copies in the first week due to the mixed reviews, and also being too mature for the market audience, which were teens and maybe a few college students. The album will go on to sell 248,000 copies. Now, where I believe Def Jam messed up is they didn't know how to market Teairra. Unlike her label mate Rihanna, who was signed around the same time as her, she had more of an urban street sound, while Rihanna had the pop girl sound and appealed more to the masses. And with her lead single being a Caribbean dancehall pop song that was sure to get the people moving. Teairra's song was more about a relationship and how a man should approach her rather than something fun, especially considering both artists were only 17 at the time. Rihanna was performing Pon de Replay all over the world, and Teairra only appealed to the urban community. I do think the label didn't want the two being compared to one another, so it was why Teairra didn't have a pop style song. But I think that was one of the label's biggest mistakes. She could have had an R&B dance song or even a ballad, because if it's one thing people love is a good ballad. After the album was released, it didn't get the response from the public that they thought. Many of the complaints were that the album was too mature for a 17-year-old and that the language was too explicit. Teairra wasn't new to singing. She had been singing in the church since a little girl, and her grandmother sang backup for the late great Aretha Franklin, who taught her how to use her voice. Singing was in her blood and she had all of the factors it took to be a megastar, being inspired by icons like Brandy, Aaliyah, and Monica. Teairra began working on her second album, Second Round, which was a terrible name in my opinion because it was cliche, right after her debut album was released. However, the album was shelved and wouldn't be released, as Teairra would receive a phone call the day of her prom telling her that she had just been dropped from the label.
You got dropped from Rockefeller, and you didn't really see it coming.
Right. I mean, no, I did not see it coming. I was getting ready for my prom, getting out the shower, and I got a call from Jay Brown, who works for Jay-Z, and he just told me, it's a nice fine kiddo, but, I gotta let you go. So that was the end of it, and I just kept it to myself for like 6 months. I didn't want to tell anybody because I didn't want to deal with the questioning and all of that, so I just kept it to myself, and finally people started hearing it through the grapevine.
You kind of had
I think Teairra being linked to Jay-Z hindered her success. I feel like sometimes when artists are associated to other artists or with other artists or heavily promoted by that artist, there is a lot of pressure and sometimes negativity attached to the newcomer. Jay was already successful and one of the top selling rap artists at the time, so when you take a new artist under your wing and you have your own projects to worry about, it can leave them feeling neglected. Although Teairra was signed to Def Jam, people often thought she was signed to Jay-Z because of close ties and with her album title, Rockefeller Presents. Which I always thought the same thing. I always thought that Teairra was signed to Rockefeller, but she cleared it up in an interview and stated that she just got the stamp of approval by Rockefeller, but she was signed to Def Jam.
I was signed by L.A. Reid. Rihanna was signed by Jay-Z, by Jay-Z and Tata. And when my album was done, it was very urban, so he wanted to stamp it with the Rockefeller stamp.
Signing two young artists at the same time may have seemed like a good idea, but there's always going to be one who gets pushed more than the other. However, at first, Teairra was getting more pushed than Rihanna, but with Rihanna's single Pondy Replay, they refocused on Rihanna and Teairra was put on the back burner. There was so much focus on Rihanna that Teairra was thrown to the wayside and didn't get the same attention. And look, this is a business, so if someone isn't selling or charting like their counterparts, then they have no issue letting you go. Teairra was also dealing with her own personal issues that took her focus off music. And it was said that she did have an attitude. However, I cannot prove that, and I'm not going to put that on someone because they often love to use the excuse of someone having a bad attitude as to why they don't want to work with someone or why they dropped someone. Teairra said that the music she was recording didn't feel true to who she was. It felt like a brand that they pushed onto her. And like I stated, her music was very mature, and the album came with a parental advisory for her music to be purchased, which was something that a lot of parents weren't going to purchase, even though you're teenagers. I mean, what's acceptable now wasn't acceptable back then, but I do feel like her album was way too mature. She was singing about sex and dealing with a drug dealer boyfriend.
Damn, I hope she's wrong, cause boy, I love the ground you walk on. She knows that your ties in the streets can be fatal.
It was definitely too much for a 17-year-old to be singing about. And also, listen, I love this album. I loved Act Right. That is one of my favorite songs.
Promise to stay in pocket. To make a girl wanna hide.
Confidential.
Take it off, would you take it slow? And promise to not let nobody know about nothing.
Phone Booth. However, the album was too mature. So that was another reason as to why the album didn't do well. With Teairra saying that it felt like a brand they pushed onto her, it happens a lot when you're a young artist, as the labels feel they know what's best for you, and rarely do you have a say as they look at you as just a product. Rihanna experienced the same thing until she dropped Good Girl Gone Bad, that she felt she had. Until she dropped Good Girl Gone Bad, that was when she felt she finally had control over her image and her sound. Teairra never really got the chance to grow as an artist and for people to see her evolution because she was dropped so early in her career. In an interview, Teairra stated that she wasn't mature enough for her to step into that world, and I agree. I also think in the industry, teens aren't treated like teens. They're treated like adults and are expected to grow up within a short amount of time. They're around a lot of partying and things that isn't acceptable for a teenager to be seeing. In 2008, Teairra signed a deal with Violator, but decided to leave and landed a new deal with For Real, the parent company to Dirty Entertainment that was responsible for Nelly's career. She began working on her new album titled At That Point, working with producers like Rico Love, The Runners, and The Underdog. Teairra had features from Soulja Boy and Gucci Mane on her single Sponsor, a favorite of mine. I love that song.
Hey, hey, hey.
Nicki Minaj on Automatic, Kanye West, Flow Rider, Pleasure P on Hunt For You, and Rick Ross. The album was scheduled to release in 2010, however, due to the amount of songs being leaked, the label decided to shelf the album. I think if the songs weren't leaked, the album had the potential to be a hit, especially with Hunt For You. That could have been a major R&B pop hit if it was pushed like it should have been.
Tell me what I gotta do. Boy, I'm on the hunt for you. Where you at? Where you at? Where you at?
And also production when it comes to a video. A song could be okay, but when a video has a bigger budget, then it will almost always guarantee a hit because of the video being played back so much, especially during that time when videos were a huge deal. Teairra would gain some traction by releasing mixtapes through the years of 2009 to 2012 and going on to act in small roles like Lottery Ticket and the Dempsey Sisters. And I think she would have did really well with acting, and she should have stuck to that.
An apology. I was so rude to you yesterday, and I've been feeling horrible ever since.
Teairra joined Love and Hip Hop full time in 2014, and I think it's one of the biggest mistakes she could have made. Someone with the potential she had didn't need to be on a reality TV show, and I think reality TV is just not for everyone, especially someone who has dealt with so much, and if they deal with mental health issues, it does more harm than good. Now, if you're someone who wasn't famous prior to and you're just looking for exposure, then that's different. I feel like when you go on a reality TV show, you have to know exactly what your goals are, or what it is that you're trying to achieve, and not be deterred from that, because so many times people get on these reality shows and these reality shows mess up their image something terrible, especially sometimes with the editing and the way things are flipped. And no, editing is not always the reason behind some people's actions. However, editing definitely plays a huge part in how a story is told, especially if the producers or people on the show don't like you. I feel like they took advantage of her and the trauma she dealt with, dealing with her ex Ray J on the show and how he embarrassed her. Like most of these low down, disgusting reality TV shows, they take people's pain and trauma and make profit off of them in their stories. I feel she needed therapy and to distance herself away from the people who meant her no good, which it seems as though she's doing better now. I just think she needs a good support team around her and people who genuinely love her, and not people looking to make a profit off of her pain. That is for her to do as an artist. As an artist, I feel like she can put all she dealt with into her music, and she needs to really push herself. Some people thrive off of negativity and don't mind it and flip it into something lucrative. But I feel like Teairra isn't one of those people, and she needs the opposite. She needs love poured into her, and I think that is what will help her thrive. And with that being said, this video has come to an end. Don't forget to comment, like, share, and subscribe, and I will catch you guys in the next video. Oh, also don't forget to make sure your notification bells are turned on, and I will catch you guys in the next one.
She doesn't treat you the way you want her to. So come on, stop running. I wanna